Hello YouTube, this is an instructional video of how to replace a mag extension for the Glock 26. It also works with the Glock 27 and 33, that's what the packaging says. These are the two pieces that come in the kit. Just a little pinky extender, that's pretty basic. What's not basic is removing the base plate from the magazine. Now this is a Glock 26 Gen 4 magazine. I've never had an issue replacing the base plate on one until I found this mag. The instructions are to push in the detent, the spring detent, and then apply pressure to the sides of the magazine while sliding off the end cap. Because on the bottom there are two notches that you have to press in for the base plate to slide off. It seems pretty straightforward, but it's a little bit harder than most people think. So I'm going to do an instructional video of how to replace it, the way I did it. I'm sure there's other ways, but this was the easiest for me. The tools I use are a small C-clamp. You can get these from any store for about $3, $4. And then I use two small screwdrivers. It depends on your preference if you want to use Phillips or flathead. But what you got to do first is you have to push the spring in on the bottom of the magazine and just keep pushing it until it sticks in the magazine. Once it's sticking down there, it will hold itself. What I do is I take the small C-clamp, because this mag is very tight. I can't do it with my fingers alone to push in the sides, so I just tighten up the tighten up the C-clamp on the mag. You don't have to apply too much pressure. You don't want to crack the plastic or anything like that. Just enough. Just snug it up just enough so that it holds it real tight, or pretty tight. Now, once you have already depressed that spring, you can stick your screwdriver in there and use it for leverage. Go between the spring itself, the base plate in there, and the back side of the magazine. And with a little bit of applying force and maybe a little help from a thumb, you can get it to slide off. Sometimes you'll have to tighten your C-clamp a little bit more if it's not releasing from the sides. It can be tricky sometimes. Of course, it's not going to work out for me well when I'm on camera, but just got to be a little patient with it. I'll try the other screwdriver. Sure the spring is all the way down. Yep, here it comes. Just slow. Alright. Now when you start sliding this off, you gotta be careful because there's a spring in there that's gonna pop out. You don't want it to fly in anybody's face. So the easiest thing to do is just apply pressure to the base plate. You can get in to the back of the magazine right here to help yourself out. But slowly slide it off. Cover it with your thumb so it doesn't pop off in your face like I was saying. And there's the inside of your magazine. Now, as you can see, this was a base plate detent that I was pushing in for the spring. you won't be needing that. They give you a replacement in the kit. So that's what it looks like when it's done. But the only thing you really have to do now is you can take the sheet clamp off. Just orientate your magazine so that's easy to understand. You got the front of your spring there, so that's going to slide in like this, because that just looks just like that. And you're going to slide on the base, the spring detent. And since this is the front of the magazine, you're going to want the nipple towards the front of the magazine as well. So, that being said, take the spring and insert it into the grooves that you have on the magazine base plate. Okay? You want to make sure that's on before you put in the spring. What you got to do now is compress the spring enough to get the whole contraption inside the magazine well. Hold it with your finger with pressure. Take your base plate, slide it in the grooves. Once you get it halfway, you can release the pressure a little bit. But make sure that when you're sliding the base plate on, that the spring doesn't get caught up in the back of the magazine tube. Once you slide it over, you'll hear a little pop, and you'll see the little nipple for the spring is pretty close to the surface, not all the way up like it was on the magazine before. But all you gotta do is kind of take that spring, plunge it a little bit, just to make sure that it's in there good, and maybe do a little tapping, make sure it's sat. But now you won't be able to take it off unless you do the same application but in reverse. But there is your extended magazine grip. There really wasn't a great video on YouTube that I could find about it, so I wanted to make my own. That way people had a better idea of how to do it. Heard a lot of complaints about people returning their product because they couldn't get it to work. But hopefully that helps you out, and happy shooting. Be safe.